Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another episode of Discovering Wellness. Today, I'm joined by Chavi Bhargava Sharma from Delhi, and she's walked through everything, and now she's walking the talk as an edupreneur. She's been an academician, an educationist, an influencer of the next generation for many, many years, and is now dedicated to building awareness and bringing in holistic therapies through the Index Center for for therapy and transformation. And we're going to hear more about what she does with her clients as she comes on the show. Welcome, Bhargavi Sharma. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you? How have you been looking at the youth and people who have just gotten to the workforce, both from their individual points of view as well as from the corporate point of view? How is how's their journey been? What are their challenges, and what kind of recurring problems do you kind of keep coming across?
So I when I was dean of the management school, that time it's just one small incident that comes to my mind that I made self skills, and it was part of all the semesters, and I used to keep sending them out tied up with the police, and they were always complaining that this is the most useless thing that you're doing, ma'am. They were criticizing, we are wasting our time. What will we do if you teach us emotional intelligence? How does it help? And then when they got placed, or at least one story which I always remember is when this boy got placed with McKinsey. He said, ma'am, I have to come back to you and tell you that all that help was not the textbook. Of course, that domain knowledge was there, but he said, this is what helped me learn how to manage myself, everything. Having said that, post COVID, when I see that, because I've worked now almost with all age groups, right from school to adults and corporate and old. This so one thing post COVID has happened is that most of us know that our cognitive, social, and emotional development more or less goes along the same pace. Post COVID, there is a definite disparity and lag in many of the things. So, cognitively, while we are going very well, socially and emotionally, we have taken a back seat. We've forgotten, and I see with children, I see with this generation coming in, which is interacting only with the virtual. And what we see is, yes, mostly with the virtual world. And what we see, and that is real for them. We're all social animals. We need other people to take in cues. And if those cues are missing, we don't develop socially and emotionally. So you see this generation that comes in the corporate and other things. Many of the people, they feel that they don't know, they don't want to go to the office. They don't want to interact with people. They want to work online. So because that is a very painful process, and sometimes the hurt, everything is there. When you are interacting with somebody, there are chances of rejection, the chances of this, cues. They don't want to take all of that. And the other thing is those filters that we have, that we generally have when you are living in a real world, those filters are gone. So everything is raw, and it is like a trigger point for everybody. Now, what do you do with a generation that is triggered by everything then? Because they don't know the coping skills. Yeah. And that is where illness comes in and not wellness.
So what you're saying is that the sensitivity of this generation is higher, and that's a kind of a double-sided coin, isn't it? Because on the one hand, it makes them more creative, it makes them more with what they're doing, more mindful, if I may use that word, in a sense, because they're so into what they're doing. But on the other hand, it isolates them. And in a sense, what you're saying is that for working in corporate, thick skin is probably better.
Yes, you see, because it makes them hypersensitive to their needs and what hurts them. But there is a parallel thing there. You have to be equally sensitive to what the others need, because that's, I'm oversimplifying it, but as psychologists, we know that that's a very complex process. And that's the whole process of growth. And if you miss out on one thing, then it, if I can use the term, it's a very narcissistic view then, because it's you have to take others into consideration, no matter how. And this generation right now is alone and they are happy, but at one point they will be lonely. It's there. It's the writing on the wall, because you have to, whatever you see, you have to see 3 steps ahead.
That's a very profound insight. In fact, how is the corporate world preparing this generation for these times to come? What are the things that you think are working in the space of well-being these days?
There are a lot of, the focus is on well-being, on mental health, and of course there are programs being done. There is some awareness, and everybody's talking about it. But I will say, yes, there is that awareness, and people are not hesitant to talk about problems. I get these youngsters who come in and they are not they're very unapologetically, they say, okay, and I want to talk more, and they are talking. But there are also a generation that is, there are 2, 3 generations, my generation, the other generation, which always feels that, this is, you're being over sensitive to things. And this generation is not taking responsibility, but it's a different kind of, they're taking responsibility for many things. And I think the corporate, by talking about it, accepting it, and I don't know the insides of it, how the story goes. But if somebody says they have if they have anxiety problems, they're more accepting than what they would be earlier. And I think that's one step forward, is a very good step.
So you also run something called the My Human Foundation. Could you tell us a little about how that works with the different stakeholders and what's been happening with that?
What we are doing is, okay, so when I always use the word mental health, everybody thinks of anxiety, depression, XYZ. So our focus, I personally felt, and we all felt, that the focus should be fitness. When we talk of physical health, when I say physical fitness or physical health, you will not tell me that arthritis and gallbladder stones and whatever. You will tell me good things, gymming, this. So we want to shift that. It's a minor shift, but it's a lot of resistance, because we have to talk of mental fitness important. And the other thing is, see, everybody has taught us how to dress up, what to eat, where to go, how we should be even speaking. But nobody has taught us what to do with all that we are carrying here in terms of our thoughts, our emotions. How do I deal with that? If there are thoughts coming, we start paying attention, and that's where you land up. Then you become overwhelmed. So our focus is on fitness. We're talking fitness. What are the things we can do? And how do you be aware? And you become aware that, okay, I'm going to get triggered by this, so I better work out something. We're looking at that.
So, with these interventions that you have, Chavi, what would you say is not working? What aren't corporates getting? What's still missing?
Should I just go ahead and just say it?
Candid. You see, these are the learnings from corporate wellness seekers, and this is what anything you say here could just shift something in one of our listeners, and he or she says that, man, why not? Why haven't I been doing that? Or I've been doing that, I've been breaking my head, let me do something else.
So what the corporate is doing is what they have always been doing, that everybody does the same thing. And if you're talking about mental fitness, it cannot happen in a one-day workshop. It cannot happen when you're making 3,000 people sit. Then it is just a lecture. It is something happening. If you really want to change, and if you're looking at fitness and health, you need to take small groups. Do at least we're not saying every day, but at least once a year, there should be something for your top management, something for your middle management, and which is personalized, which seems everybody should feel that they've got 1:1, because change, that's when confessions happen. That's when stories are told, because we are all living out stories, and those stories are not necessarily happy stories. So if we want to make it a story of enjoyment, then we need to somebody has to listen to those stories, and that's where we come in. We don't tell you how you should live your life. We just, or what you should do. We just show you different perspectives. It's like a mirror. And with the corporate, you need to take out time and you need to prioritize it. It's not like, okay, mandatory hai, so everybody is doing it. It's like that moral science subject which neither there were marks nor nothing. So we have to do it like that. And that's what I feel, that you have to put in some more meat. There has to be more depth, and we have to dive a little bit.
Right. So I'm taking away 2 points here. One is that a lot of these initiatives are just becoming checklist items, and the other is that there's no individualization, there's no levelization of what is required at each level for really making the initiatives work. That's very true. I've been seeing that myself. How do you think we can change this?
The moment you decide that, okay, this is as equal as my finance meeting, and this is also something that, because at end of the day, if the person is not well, or if I'm not, my output decreases. What is internal is what I internally, whatever is there, what you see externally is a reflection of what is internal, and what external is nothing but it's just your thoughts. Your mind is reflecting in your body. So if you want healthy people, if you want healthy minds, you need to focus on that. I think that's something that they have to do. Maybe a calendar, if I'm looking at workables, and say just put it there. Or maybe you do a rotation, you don't have that kind of money, or you don't want to do something, get in an in-house psychologist or a wellness expert. Get in those. Instead of HR, you have HR, but you get in a wellness expert. Let the person be there. Get in a wellness coach and just do it. That will help. They can whole year round, then everybody gets a chance. One time, if you call somebody, it's a one time.
True. And not only do you call the expert, you also prioritize that. I'm going to quote you on that, Chavi. This is as important as my finance meeting. So
Yeah.
it's just prioritizing wellness with your other verticals, which build profitability, which run the business, because ultimately people are the ones who are running the business. Absolutely. Tell me, Chavi, what is it that you would like to see happening? Are there some initiatives that you've been experimenting with, which have to get out there in the marketplace?
We can have, even in the corporate, you can have people who are just wellness. You have these fitness ambassadors where you have gyms there. So why don't you have a mental gym there? Put in like a mental gym, something that is talking about. There are so many things on mental gym, so many instruments scientifically validated. You have controlling your heartbeat, you have so many other things. It's like, and then it becomes a part of your lifestyle. Today, if somebody says, I don't go for a walk, I don't do anything, we will look at that person in a very weird way. The same thing has to happen for mental health. That if somebody says, I've done nothing, maybe even not a 5-minute mindfulness, we should look at them and say, oh, well, you know that.
Fantastic, fantastic. In fact, doing what you said is going to bring it right into the culture of the company, where they have this designated way of going about their mental and physical fitness activities. Well, thank you so much, Chavi, for those inputs. They are really going to go a long way in the packing of learnings for wellness seekers that Discovering Wellness seeks to bring our viewers. Friends, remember we are here every week, Tuesday afternoons, India time. So do join us for the next episode. And till then, keep watching previous episodes. Be in touch with the Wellness Seekers Academy, and wish you a great week.